This meeting of the Policy Committee on December 4th at 10:30 a.m. to order. The first item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. You all join me, please, for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America
and
and
to
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need to interrupt for a second. We're not live on YouTube yet because it has locked us out. So we are not on yet.
Okay. Would you like us to pause then for a second to see if it can be navigated?
Yes, do you mind?
No problem. We'll go ahead and pause due to technical difficulties.
I would like some hold music.
Yeah, I need some Christmas.
Play your instrumental music as we pause.
Can I do that?
For it.
Don't tempt me.
I don't mind it.
We're trying to restart it and I need just a couple of more minutes.
My
Okay.
music got really dramatic there. It was very hold, peaceful music, and then boom.
We're still trying to reconnect back to YouTube. We're having Google issues.
No worries.
YouTube won't let us come on live, but Molly will record it. So this meeting will not be viewed as live.
Okay, that's fine. Well, then let's go ahead and proceed on with the next item on the agenda. I believe there may be a modification necessary. The next item is approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the agenda, but minus the meeting minutes from November 3rd.
Let me see. Is it November 3rd or is it October 2nd?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
close. October 2nd.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas. The motion has been made to approve the agenda with the removal of the October 2nd committee meeting minutes, seconded by Mr. Dallas. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So that was approved unanimously. Next item is public comments. Ms. Cushingberry, do we have any public comments today?
Yes, we do. We have one public comment. It's from Mr. Cook, and I will give him a call now.
Sounds good.
Can you hear it ringing?
I don't hear anything.
Nor do I.
Hi, David, this is Robin. I'm calling you for public comments. I need to get you on so where you can be heard, if you give me a moment.
Problem, thanks.
I can hear him.
You can hear him? Okay, go ahead and speak. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for giving me a chance to speak this morning. When I went back through and looked at the agenda, I just had some questions as to not questions, but just some comments. I know that I was actually nominated, I believe, by Kathy Robine last year to participate in the Health Education Advisory Committee. However, before recommendations are made to exclude me from a committee, I'm going to ask that all of the board members, including this committee, review the over 400 pages of documents that the district sent to the sheriff's office in order to file a no trespass notice against me, because this is a calculated effort to censor me and shut me up. And if you want to learn more about what was in the emails or the social media posts, I'm available to talk to anyone about any of that stuff. I think it's fair to give someone a voice, but to assume that they're guilty, like Dr. Guads had indicated in her comments last week, isn't really fair to me as a parent. And my daughter's pretty upset at the fact that she believes that I'm not going to be able to get away with anything. I'm not going to be able to do anything this year, but I'm doing my best to attend all of her events and in hopes that there aren't any problems with people trying to keep me out of her events at her school. But I just really would like you to take a look at everything, because there's a lot of false statements that were made against me. I followed protocols to email teachers and to email district staff. And if I sent more emails than I was supposed to, there's no requirement that says I'm not allowed to send however many emails. But be that as it may, I just ask that when you consider this discussion, take a look at the facts of what's happened. I believe that most people that review any of the material that I sent to these teachers or to the district or put on social media were not threats, nor were they harassing. They were just simply statements. And as a parent, I have a right to stand up for my kids and protect them, as well as kids in the community. But thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And y'all have a great week.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Sorry, just trying to bring back up the agenda on my side over here. So the next item on the agenda, we're skipping over the approval of the minutes that was listed and moving straight on to discussion on health advisory selection criteria. So it was my understanding that in the bylaws as they are written, there is a need to clarify qualifications perhaps of committee members and to make sure that they align with the board policies as well as perhaps administrative regulations. And I just like to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, as well as the other board members on the committee, that is what is being sought after. Does anybody else have any comments on that?
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead, Carlton.
I don't recall the policy committee being asked to drill down to that level of specificity.
Okay.
This came out of academics, because as academics says, the bylaws, the committee belongs to the board. So therefore the board has to come up with its policy of how you're going to select. And here are the bylaws and the criteria for the membership, i.e. if you have staff, children, board members' children, or board members else, who can be on the committee, and how does the board go ahead and select how does the board select these people that set on the bylaws that says that you have to have on there? What's the process? And the policy committee has to come up with the process or the policy. Academics is only, they don't get to sit there and institute the policy. Am I saying that correctly?
I think so. And I want to make sure, I believe there were comments made just briefly by a public commenter, and I want to make sure that it is very clear that the purpose for this meeting is not in regard to anyone that has already been
Correct.
nominated or
Correct.
seated.
It's a process. It's what the process is going to be.
It's procedural, and it came from academics committee based on something else is my complete understanding. Oh, Miss, I think that's Miss Gordon.
It is.
Okay. She's got her hand raised. Miss Gordon?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You're absolutely correct. And the academic committee want to make sure that we are following policy when we are looking at the membership, and make sure that we cover everything within the bylaws and the policy for selecting membership. And one of the concerns that I had is to make sure the understanding to the public and whoever else we may choose in this selection processes is that an applicant can apply, he or she may or may not be selected. And I want to make sure that that is something within our policy, because I do not want, as one of the commenters said, to have the belief that we are, looking over people intentionally or whatever. But I think we have to reserve the right to, in our selection process, to make sure that we get the people that are qualified to be on this particular committee. And that's why we're bringing it to policy, because we have to have a policy procedure in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon, for that clarification. So I did, just to try to move things forward more quickly and efficiently today, I did draft up a suggestion. I'm going to add it to the chat box and read it here. I certainly, after discussion of it, am happy to pass the gavel and make the motion. But in the chat box, what you should be able to see now is a motion to add to the bylaws of the Health Advisory Committee under Roman numeral 3, criteria for membership, a new sub-item D that would say nomination and membership qualification is subject to Beaufort County Board of Education policies and BCSD administrative regulations. And I do point to a human resources regulation in regard to, it's titled staff ethics, but it talks about nepotism and things like that. So just to be sure that that's a all-encompassing kind of add-on to the bylaws that says that if you're going to be a member or be nominated for HAC's committee here, that those nominees are subject to any of our existing policies or policies that may come into existence, as well as BCSD administrative regulations. So I want to open up the floor to see, and if we need to pull up, you know, that specific regulation for people to look at, Robin, we may want to do that. I know it's on.
Yep.
if you
I'll work on getting it while you all talk.
Okay.
Madam Chair, unless Ms. Boatright has something she wants to say, I will have some comments on what you just said, ma'am.
Sure. And I'm gonna just point everybody in case they want to go on their own browsers to BeaufortSchools.net. If you go to the Beaufort County Board of Education and you click on our policies, that would show all of our board policies. And then you also can access the administrative regulations within that same portal. So Mr. Dallas, go for it.
Yeah, I don't need to go to that level of detail for me to pull that up. I have viewed several aspects of the HR policies. I think the HR policies as a whole and in specific application very much try to be fair, equitable, and accessible to all. So I am very much in favor of what you said. What I wanted to avoid today was us trying to wordsmith, you know, what's going to happen and what's not going to happen, because I think the bridge that you've given us indemnifies us against saying we're trying to include or exclude any particular person or group. So I think this is a very smart way to go about it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That was my intention. Ms. Boatright?
I have nothing to add. This
Okay.
has been bouncing around for a long time. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, I agree. I think this kind of is a good catch-all. If there is questions from the full board, then certainly we can have them. But I think this gets us into a position where we are setting boundaries that are already existing boundaries and that we can easily operate under. So I'm going to pass the gavel, I guess. And Robin,
I can make, yeah, go ahead.
or Ms. Boatright, if you'd like to make the motion, certainly please do. Feel free to.
Whatever, I move to add to the bylaws of HAC under 3D nomination membership qualification be subject to Beaufort County. Let's see. Okay, that's where we're adding it. Nomination membership qualification is subject to Beaufort County Board of Education policies and BCSD administrative regulations. Do you want me to add the C regulation HRS 6F staff ethics in parentheses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do I have a second for that motion?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Second.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Cushing-Berry, if we are
I'm typing fast.
okay. I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to copy and paste that or not.
Okay, it was made by Ingrid, second by Carlton.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. Ready
Okay.
to vote?
Great. So I will call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Wonderful. Okay, so we will bring that forward at our next regularly scheduled meeting under the committee report. And hopefully that helps academics as well to know what the criteria nomination for membership qualification is for members. And I believe the other selection process that goes through academics so they can look at if those individuals meet those qualifications, and then that would come to the full board, is my understanding in terms of procedure.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment, please, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
To use a biblical term, I just want to say that was a very Solomonic recommendation that you made. Thank you. Very efficient.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Robin, is Ms. Gordon's hand up, or is that still up?
Yes, her
Okay.
hand's up again.
Ms. Gordon, go for it.
Thank you. Carlton put it exactly the way it should have been stated. I think this committee, on behalf of the academic committee, this was smooth And I definitely look forward to hearing it before the full board so we can go ahead and, as Ingrid said, get started. This is a long time coming. Thank you for your wisdom in getting this done.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's move on to the next item on the agenda today. That is the electronic public comment card codification. So it is my understanding that we are in a position now to implement the electronic public comment card usage.
Well, I have a question or concern. So
Mhm.
what I have placed up on the screen for you all to look at, what we don't have on there, because it was discussed in an executive session, were the rules and regulations of this form. So
Good.
what you're looking at is the basic form minus the rules and regulations of what the public comment form would be.
Got
Does
it.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
I think what we need on there is a box, and should be easy to do. You know, I accept the terms and, that we do on every form you submit.
Uh-huh.
And then we can have a link that they can open up should they want to read it. But have a box that checks, by checking this box, you accept the terms and conditions. And then the terms and conditions can have a link, and that can just link into, our thing. I
Okay.
think it would clutter it up to have that individually printed on every submission.
Okay, so on this form, they're just accepting the box, and then we would link it to whatever the rules and regulations become.
Yeah, and it's usually
Okay.
something like, by clicking this box, you agree to the terms and conditions, and then the terms and conditions is a hyperlink to if they want to read them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the second thing, we don't know for sure because we have not put it into place to see if it's timestamped. But what we can do is what we do currently. When they come in person, they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be the same as this. When these are received, it's be numbered, and the electronic forms are always taken after the people in person have spoken. Is that still the process that you would want to do?
No,
Okay.
Okay.
but I may be alone in that, but I don't know why we would put those in. I mean, people should be able to sign up, 2 days in advance or whatever, 24 hours in advance. And if they are something that they're really excited about, making sure they get on, they should be able to go in 24 hours early and basically reserve a spot to speak. I don't think we do these after the people that are there.
Okay.
Can
So
I was like, go ahead, Madam Chair.
I was just gonna, I guess procedurally and in regard to this specific item today, what I was trying to do is get us further down the road. In terms of the time stamping and things like that, I know presently as practice, and to recap, the last public comment policy change that we tried to put forward did not pass. And I regret that I was not there to place a vote because that may have changed things. But that said, in regard to this specific item, the public comment card being electronic was voted on and approved by the full board. So I'm trying to get us just a smidge further down the road in turning that into practice. In regard to time stamping and, if they can do it 24 hours in advance, I think we can look at that when we look at changing the public comment policy as a whole. But I would like to get us at least to a point where we can start using this under our present policies. If that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't know why the electronic cards come after the in-person cards.
Yeah,
I just didn't
and
understand that.
I get it.
Only
And
for convenience on the phone, because if it's electronic, I have to call the person. So I think the reason why we do is for process. We're moving everyone in front as opposed to me calling, then the next person, then and so forth. So it's more of a process kind of thing.
And that's just, and I'm, I don't want to get bogged down, but what I'm saying, I think a lot of people will use how this gets used in other places is people sign up, then they still come in person. So it's not necessarily, I don't anticipate these only being used by call-in people.
Can I weigh in?
yes, sir, please do.
I agree with Madam Chair, Dr. Wisniewski. I think it's important to move it along under the existing parameters, and then we can discuss it at the full board. The fairness, the people, the current system, I think, gives a little bit of advantage to the people who physically go to the extent of showing up. So, but in the interest of moving this forward, I am totally in favor of approving it or recommending that it be approved, recommended, and forwarded by the committee for the full board's consideration, and then address the other items as Dr. Wisniewski stated.
Which is fine. My only thing, and they didn't approve the 30-minute first come, first serve anyway. So,
Right,
it
right,
doesn't even matter.
Mhm.
Right.
So looking at this form where they can check the box in person, then we still could move that, we still can utilize the process. So if they come in person and they've already filled out this form, then obviously they would be ahead of whoever just showed up and didn't fill out the form. Does that make sense? Because there is a box on here. So if they're in person and they did it 24, 48 hours, then of course they would automatically be ahead of those who just showed up or just called in.
When it comes before the board, full board, I'll support that. But right now, I think moving it forward in its entirety as presented is the best methodology.
I agree with that.
Okay. So in that case, I did have, if we are good with the electronic process and the, change, making sure that the terms and conditions or whatnot is added before the submission is made, so they are agreeing to the rules for our board meetings. I think the only thing that is necessary to codify it is just to ask or to add a small blurb in, it is policy GC2, Roman numeral, or hold on, let me make sure I get this right. Number 23, public comment at Board of Education meetings, Roman numeral 2, sub item A, and it's in that first sentence where it says, read and fully complete a public comment card and submit it to the board's executive assistant. What I would propose is that we add at the end of that sentence, either in person or electronically. If that is acceptable to my fellow committee members, that would be the only change being made at this time to GC2 to codify the previous board or the board's intent.
Let me ask for clarification. You want all of this put on that card, or we're codifying the policy itself to add in person or electronically to that?
Yeah, I'm trying to codify in our existing policy
I got it.
this change, because right now it just says that they can read and fully complete a public comment card, which in interpreting that would mean in person on paper, writing it out. I want it to be clear that we have an electronic means for people to submit a public comment card.
So we would do that after the board, if the board votes to approve this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
Well, they already voted to approve the electronic moving in that direction, so.
Right. Do they have to approve this form and the things that are on there, or no?
I'll bring it forward without objection.
Okay.
I understand what you're doing, Madam Chair. I think it clarifies, so I'm in favor of that when it comes before a board vote.
Okay. So I can't, for some reason, I cannot copy GC. When I go to the boardpolicyonline.com, I cannot copy and paste GC2 for some reason.
Because it's in a,
Do I need to put it into a PDF first?
yeah, because it's in a PDF form, so,
Okay,
let's see.
I'm gonna try to make this easier for us.
Wait a minute. It's policy, what policy, GC2?
GC2 number 23.
Moving this over. GC2. 23 and rules for board meetings, participants must. Is that where you are?
Yes.
And then go down to A, right here, read and fully complete.
Yes.
Ah.
Oh, you better plug in your computer.
Oh, you know what? I thought that was my doggone computer telling me, and I looked at my cord like, wait a minute, it's plugged in. What's going on here?
Oh no, I think she froze too. I hope we didn't lose her. Robin, do we still have you?
No, she lost power. She's trying to come back up right now.
Okay, no worries. We'll wait. I might be able to go ahead and get us some language drafted up real quick while we wait. I got us further on the last one. I'll try on this one too.
Much appreciated.
Let me just mute, because they've got some technical.
All right, let me share screens again.
Okay, I think
Okay. Can you see?
yes, ma'am. And I think I've got a draft here. What's the easiest way to get it to you, Robin, so you don't have to type it out?
Email it and I can copy from my email.
Let me do that real quick. I hate for you to have to write this all out.
Let me go back to there.
Robin, you're ROBYN, Cushionberry.
Well, that was a quick power search.
All right. Just sent it to you. Hopefully it comes through.
Pop, pop, pop.
And what I did there is I just added in basically that it's online or in person availability of the public comment card.
Got it. Let's see. Copy. All right, the motion says rules for public participants must can you all see that?
Yes, it's number 2, correct? It starts with rules for board meetings,
Yes.
and number 1 under that. Let me give me a moment to read it, please. Okay, I'm fine.
And we're back on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
As
Welcome.
we're almost done.
Of course. Isn't that right? That's how it works on a Monday. Is it Monday or Tuesday? What is today? I don't even know.
Today is Monday.
Should you? Sorry. Okay, everybody. So the change that would be made is essentially just to codify what the board intended, which was moving our public comment card to also have an online capability for submission. And so we've added in online or in-person completion and submission of that card. And also as well as that it will be available online to persons who want to make public comment as well as at the meeting site. So I know we talked about perhaps having it like, a permanent availability of it, Robin.
Mhm.
But this is just simply in terms of like, this is when
Got you.
it's meant to be available.
Yeah, this
And
is what our current, but because this is what our current right now says.
Exactly. No changes besides just essentially a codification of the board's will.
Sounds good.
Okay. Ms. Boatright, are you good with this? Does anybody? Okay, can someone else make the motion?
Yep. Is it on the chat?
It was, Robin just had it,
Here,
displayed.
Because I'm happy to read it. I don't
Can you
remember.
see it? Can you see it?
Okay.
Like
No.
I moved to,
It
You
would
want
be,
to say I move to add the following text to GC2?
yes.
Okay. I move that the policy committee recommend to the full board adding the following text to GC2 subsection 2 rules for board meetings. Participants must read and fully complete a public comment card and submit it to the board's executive assistant online or in person. Public comment cards will be available at the board's meeting site and online beginning 1 hour before the scheduled board open session meeting begins. If there is no scheduled executive session at the beginning of the board meeting, public comment cards will be available at the board's meeting site and online 30 minutes prior to the meeting.
do I have a
Second.
second?
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dallas. Okay, any discussion?
no, ma'am, not here.
Okay.
Nope.
Wonderful. So I'll call the vote.
Aye.
Aye as well. So I believe that was unanimous. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Wonderful. Okay. So we've checked that box. Wonderful. And Miss Robin, I can't see I lost my agenda. It was on here. Closed it out. I think that was the last item. Is that correct?
That's the last item.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'll circle back up just to close things out. Ms. Cushing-Berry mentioned that we're probably not making any, scheduling any committee meeting minutes or committee meetings until February. So we'll loop around and try to get everybody's schedule for February and do that at a later date. But if
Madam Chair, may I make ask for consideration of one thing? And Ms. Cushionberry, this hopefully can be discussed in general with all the committees.
Mhm.
If it's possible that each committee can target a day per month,
Mhm.
that recurring day and recurring time, it makes it much easier for me to modify my schedule to schedule around it. I know, sometimes it'll work for everybody and sometimes it won't, but I think that will help. For example, some committees reschedule, and when I look at things in my calendar, I schedule it for that, and then of course things change. But if we know this sort of same day every month, then that may help in terms of scheduling. Just for consideration. Thank you.
Can I address that for a moment?
Yes, ma'am.
There are some committees, i.e. operations, finance, and academics, that have agenda items every month. And now technology. So there are also some committees, i.e. like legislative and policy, that don't have things to meet every month. So my question is, when you do want to meet, you want to be able to meet on a specific day and time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right,
And so those committees could set aside a specific day and time of the month, and then they either use it or don't use it.
got it,
And schedule around so I can optimally be there when they schedule it.
got it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful. Well, if there's no objection, I'd like to adjourn.
So moved.
So, none
Bye,
here,
everybody.
ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Ms. Cushionberry, Ms. Mercado.
Thank y'all.